Mauvais Rêve, Hoshi is today's song, and Hoshi is today's guest. She's incredible. She produces French pop that is simply, if you follow her links, you will be blown away. I always say if you don't understand the lyrics, the music will carry you through, but you just seem to feel when you listen to her music, I understand what this artist is singing about. You're like a sponge just taking in the prowess of what this wonderful artist produces. This particular song. In her personal life, she suffers from Meniere's disease. Now, Meniere's disease is caused by the buildup of fluid in the chambers in the ear. It causes symptoms vertigo, nausea, vomiting, loss of hearing, ringing in the ears, headaches, loss of balance, and sweating. My sister, Catherine, had this particular problem when she was very, very young. And we didn't, in those days, we're talking a couple of decades back, we didn't know, my mother, my father, how to handle it, because she would wake up screaming with the pain in her ears. And I just remember my mother rubbing her ears constantly until my sister almost passed out, fell asleep. So with that experience of this particular ear problem, because the vertigo, you just imagine the vertigo for a minute, and she's standing doing live performances. There is a wonderful live performance of this song I'll attach in the description, so go check that out. To everybody just savoring what she does, because I commend her. She's dealing with this constantly, and it really is a disability, but she's managing to overcome that, produce a new album, and come out with this single. So this single involves her and lots of images of her in a lift pressing buttons. And with the images, I was trying to connect what is all of this about. And then I read one of the fan comments, and what it is she's going through her childhood. So when she presses the age of 5, that's her at 5, and the video reflects that. And when she presses 7 in the lift, then it's her talking about when she was 7 years of age. So that's the premise, and what the video, the symbolism of her being in a lift is all about. I think it's very cleverly done, looking at what I've done. It's my first time hearing, and I'm looking forward. Now, when she did release this is what it said on social media. It said Hoshi's active on her social networks. It's generally through this she informs her community of upcoming news or takes pleasure in chatting with her fans, like I do here, revealing surprises to them. And that's what happened recently. She posted a video, a few seconds, on her Twitter account in which she was playing an unknown song and melody at the time. And she quoted, "Few months ago, I wrote a song called Bad Dream. It's the intro of my next album. I'm excited." And it's out, by the way, her album. Check the description. A surprise that greatly pleased her fans, who were quick to comment, "Oh, it's beautiful, sounds amazing, can't wait to hear it. I'll be ready to buy the next album." I have. It's amazing, everybody. Honestly. So many messages of encouragement that must have pleased the singer, who's about to go back on stage earlier than expected. And the one who recently confided in her harassment published on her Instagram account. What is that about? Let's go back to what this is about. In her personal life, she's been nominated at the NRG Music Awards in the past for the category of Breakthrough Artist of the Year. Now, in December of the same year, and that was in 2018, she was the victim of a forced coming out, due to the publication of an article in Paris Match that wrote about her sexuality based on comments, and she denies any of those comments, and they still published it and said it was the truth. So they forced her to step forward and say, "Okay, I'm a gay woman." Horrific. When you're not at the right time, right place, and you feel that could destroy your career before it begins, I think Paddy's match ought to have gone to court, and really she should have pursued that, but that didn't happen, I believe. She went on to overcome that. She's dealing with Meniere's disease. She had to deal with that, and her fans supported her. Why did they support this artist of worth? Take a listen. We'll go through the lift. Her pressing the buttons is symbolic of what the song is about. It's about when she was 7, when she was 5, when she was 10, when she was... You'll understand it when you listen. And then I'll come back with the meaningful lyrics. Take it away, Hoshi.
Je m'appelle Mathilde et aujourd'hui c'est ma naissance. Je suis prématurée, ça sera ma seule fois en avance. Je sais pas à quoi m'attendre, est-ce que ma vie va être tendre? Allez, je m'endors pour mon premier rêve. La vie a l'air facile, je viens d'avoir 4 ans. Je me suis trompée de fil, je voulais être avec les grands. Je me cachais sous la table, on m'a volé mon cartable. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. J'ai changé de style, je viens d'avoir 7 ans. Suis-je garçon ou fille, pourquoi personne ne me comprend? Et dès que sonne la récré, je me fais insulter. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Je continue de grandir, aujourd'hui j'ai 9 ans. Qu'est-ce qu'on va m'offrir? Y aura combien de gens? Mais le soir de ma fête, en fait, y'avait pas de fête. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Ça y est, je suis en 6ème, j'ai enfin 11 ans. Je rentre pas dans leur système, j'apprends trop facilement. Je m'ennuie dans tous les cours, on trace déjà mon parcours. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Je regarde un peu les filles, j'ai maintenant 14 ans. J'ai les yeux qui brillent, dois-je le dire à mes parents? On m'a frappé la tête contre la neige devant tout le collège. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Enfin le lycée, j'ai bientôt 16 ans. J'aime bien l'embrasser, je me fous du regard des gens. Pourquoi elle m'a quitté alors que je l'aimais tant? Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. J'ose pas rentrer chez moi, pourtant j'ai 18 ans. Je viens de rater mon bac, comment le dire à maman? Je n'irai pas à la fac et mon CV sera blanc. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Je chante dans la rue, je fête mes 19 ans. Pour moi j'évolue, pourquoi on me rabaisse tout le temps? Pour tout le monde je suis foutu, je me demande à force si je me mens. Oh non, je voulais juste vivre mon rêve. Char en soirée techno, c'est bon j'ai 20 ans. Je me drogue un peu trop, je profite de l'instant. Putain tout me dépasse, commencent les crises d'angoisse. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Je chante ta marinière, je vais mieux, j'ai 21 ans. À la fin des concerts, le public m'attend. Mais quand je rentre en taxi, où sont passés mes amis d'avant? J'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. J'assume qui je suis, je viens d'avoir 23 ans. Je veux de l'amour dans mon pays, je veux qu'on me voit vraiment. J'embrasse une femme aux victoires, après c'est le cauchemar. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Il s'attaque à mon physique, j'ai tout juste 24 ans. J'ai fait de la musique, y a rien d'effrayant. La méchanceté est gratuite, mais les efforts seront payants. J'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. La vie me met un tac du haut de mes 25 ans. Ma maladie porte une cape et me grignote les tympans. Je serai pas aussi toute la vie, je devrais vivre sans vos cris. Oh non, j'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Et puis ça continue, j'ai toujours 25 ans. Mon papy me quitte une nuit et laisse derrière lui un grand blanc. Je comprenais pas la vie, je vais devoir comprendre la mort maintenant. J'ai dû faire un mauvais rêve. Je m'appelle Mathilde et aujourd'hui j'ai 26 ans. J'ai le cœur parapluie, le corps rempli de sentiments. J'aurai un nouvel album, est-ce qu'il va toucher les gens? J'espère. Moi je veux juste vivre mon rêve. J'ai dû faire un mauvais 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 rêve.
Wow, I'm lost for words. I can only say that is a phenomenal video, Hoshi. It really, really is epic on many, many levels. The simplicity, the understanding when you press the buttons, because I have kind of explained it beforehand. it's just so beautifully thought out. Congratulations to everybody involved, everybody who came up with that idea, and then it was developed into that video, because I've never seen a video like it that explains elements of your life and what you had to go through. And I think Paris Match, we all understand the symbol of what happened in 2018 to this young lady being forced to come out. I'm a gay person. I didn't get forced. I still look at my two shoulders and think of my mother and my father putting their hands on my shoulders and saying, go live your life, be happy. And I wish that, let's just keep it short, I wish that for Hoshi. Let's get into the lyrics now. The lyric says, my name is Mathilde and today is my birth. I am premature. It'll be my only time in advance. I don't know what to expect. Will my life be tender? Come on, I'm falling asleep for my first dream. Do you know, I will say this at the start of this video, and it's something my mother taught me. She taught me many sayings, because my father was a workaholic. Well, okay, forced to work a lot, I should say, and provide for me and my siblings. And I will only say this, that she taught me this saying, you come into this world crying, you leave the world crying. And did you notice in the video that Hoshi was almost choking with the crying in her voice vocally? So it's a very apt thing to say in this video, and it's something you should remember. No matter what we do, we come into this world crying, and no matter what way we want our lives to be, we'll always end up leaving the world crying. It's just how it is. And anyway, it says, come on, I'm falling asleep for my first dream. Well, we all dream. Dreams is what is the inspiration for life. She continues, life looks easy, I just turned 4. And you see her hitting the lift, the number 4, taking you on the stages of the lyrics of her life. She said, I took the wrong line. I wanted to be with the grown-ups. I was hiding under the table. We stole my school bag. Oh no, I must have had a bad dream. Okay, when she mentions she's under the table, how many children, even I used to love hiding under the table when my parents, we would always eat, and then my parents would come and sit, and then my mother and him would eat, and I would hide under the table just to listen to what they were saying. I loved grown-up talk. Now, some of the things I shouldn't have heard, I shouldn't have listened to, and I didn't understand, but it was the excitement of not being caught and the two of them talking about grown-up things. I always felt an old soul in a young body, and I think that's what she's saying here. She continues, I changed my style. I just turned 7. Am I a boy or a girl? Why does no one understand me? As soon as recess rings, I get insulted. Oh no, I must have had a bad dream. So she takes you through those early years. I can remember as far as 7 knowing I was gay. I can remember a cousin undressing in front of me, a male cousin, and getting so excited about it and getting these feelings of wow, and enjoying the process of seeing my naked cousin in front of me changing clothes quickly to go out and play football with his brothers. But I was in the room reading, and we were cousins, and he didn't care. I was young, he was much older, but I just remember not understanding why I found it so enjoyable, him undressing in front of me. And so, like her with a bad dream, you just move on, because some people can be born with an older soul and more mature feelings and be aware of these things than an innocent child who just wouldn't be looking, wouldn't be excited. I was on the level of already, like that old soul was speaking to me, and I did understand, but then I didn't. So it continues. I keep growing. Today I'm 9 years old. What will be offered? How many people will be there? But the night of my party, in fact, there was no party, and I must have had a bad dream. So yeah, you reach 9 years of age, you are reflecting on school, that the girls had to be, when I was growing up, the girls had their own place to change and the boys had their own place to change. And I was very happy I didn't have to associate with the girls. I was very happy I was changing with the boys around me. But I can understand Hoshi feeling, we're separated. I want to be with the boys. I don't want to be with the girls. I can understand that as well. And when she's 9, it's not important age, but it is important physically, because mentally and physically, everyone says, oh, you change when you're teenage years. Some children change from 7 years of age up. They mature much quicker. And I think at 9, she was already looking at the way she was dressing, looking at the way she was feeling, and knowing she was different. She continues, I'm in 6th grade. I'm finally 11. I don't fit into their system. I learned too easy. I'm bored with the classes. We're already tracing my course. Oh no, I've had a bad dream. So she takes you through the process of being much more mature than she was. And I remember my other sister saying to me that I get bored in classes, and I said to her, she's my younger sister, I'm extraordinarily close to her, and she said, and I said to her, but why? And she said, I sit in class and the teacher's talking about something I've already read about. I've read the whole book. She could read any book and digest it and just regurgitate it in exams, because she was always getting grade A, grade A, grade A marks. And in class she was so bored when the teacher was talking about it to her again, repeatedly. But for the others it wasn't repeatedly. But for my sister it was. She said, I just get bored in classes. I already know the book. And I was like, wow. So I feel I can relate to this as well. And then she says, when she's talking about I'm finally 11, because everyone talks about 11, your teenage years, you changed physically, you changed mentally. No, some people, like Hoshi, has changed before. And then she says, I watch the girls a bit. I'm now 14. My eyes are shining. Should I tell my parents? I debated that as well, because it's very funny that I left it till I was in my 20s. Because we unfortunately moved from England to Ireland into a small village, very Catholic, set by a lot of pretense about rules, Catholicism, priests, all of this. Whereas in England we didn't. We had a freer way of thinking, and I would have probably spoke to my parents at 12, 11. Because when I did speak to my parents, debated, it was my mother that sat me down and said, look, I'm your mother, I've been watching you. What is it you have to tell me? And I was in my 20s. And when I told her, she said, I've known since you were a child. And she never explained why. So telling your parents isn't, and definitely with the new generation today, telling your parents is nothing. So she continues, finally, high school, I'm almost 16. I like kissing her. I don't care about people's eyes. Why did she leave me when I loved her so much? Because your first love is the hardest, that's why. And when you are with somebody that you like, who thinks like you, it's called puppy love in English. And basically it's the seed that you need to experience for your life. It's like a tree growing to branch out, to try kiss other people, that kind of thing. So she says, I don't dare go home, even though I'm 18. I just failed my exams. How do I tell mum? I won't go to college, and my CV will be blank. Oh no, I must have had a bad dream. Sometimes this is the thing. They always say at the age of 11, this happens to you. When you're teenagers, this happens to you. This was the old way of thinking, not today now. I have to say, Jose, me and you went through this, but today's generation, parents are more understanding. If school is not the priority, that's because maybe they need to know who they are first, where they fit, what college would suit them, what course will it put them on the road to life. In my day it was, you must go to college, you must do your exams, you must pass, it was formulated. It was everybody walked the same walk. But today Sometimes you need to leave college to mentally sort yourself out, physically, emotionally, all of that. That's more important. And if I had children, I would prioritize that. Sit them down and get them to talk to me. In my day, my parents didn't talk. They talked with their eyes. But this, no. It's just how things have changed. And then she says it continues to 21, 24, and she physically changes. I just think it's an extraordinary video. Well done, Jose. And you got out of the bad dream because you became yourself. And that's what life's all about. Take care.